Okay, in step 10, we're going to be customizing the appearance of our theme by going into appearance and clicking on customize right here. But before we do that, let's just scroll up and take a look and see what it's actually looking like with the general theme applied, but without the final customization. So we're going to select a post and take a look at it. You might recall from the earlier videos that once we introduced the custom CSS, that put a few things in, like some of these columns and various amounts of formatting and images like this. But there is a problem still with the site. It doesn't look tremendous. We need to modify some files so that we've got the right information in the footer down here. The footer widget needs to be replaced, and as you can see by scrolling back to the top here, we need to get our background image for the header. We need to set up our menus, and we also need to deal with this column issue on the site. So let's go back and get stuck into doing those things. So we go to the appearance menu, click on customize. Okay, so once we're in, that will load up and give us a preview of what the site looks like there. And the first thing we're going to do is click on site identity. And we're going to say hide the site title and the tagline. There may or may not be a tagline sometimes, but we want to hide those so that we're not seeing this across the top of the screen. And this will load itself, and as you can see, it's disappeared. So the next thing we want to do, we want to put in our logo that's going to essentially be the header. So we're going to select that, we're going to upload a file, and this one has to come from our existing ADT home file here. If we select that and press the space bar, we can actually see what that looks like before we put that in there. So that's the correct one, and we'll simply click to open that up, and once that loads, we will now here is a good idea to put in some alt text. So this is for home security systems, and that's the general theme of the site. So we're just going to say home security systems logo. That just helps a little bit with the SEO. Click select, and we skip the cropping. We don't want to crop that, and then that comes in, and that will essentially preview in a second here on the site. As you can see, there it is there now, and there it is at the top. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to deal with the layout. I suggest as you work through this part of the video, step 10, that you do one of these things at a time. Pause the video, get that done, then come back and see the next component that we need to do. So here we're going to be looking at the layout section and fixing up this problem across the page here. So if we click on the container width, that's not what we're looking for. We're going to be looking at sidebars, because that has to do with this content layout on the page. So sidebar layout, we're just going to say for all these options here, content, no sidebars. So if that's sidebar, blog, and single post, we do not want to have a sidebar displaying anything. And then once that's done, you'll see that that will readjust how the content looks on the page. So that's looking a lot better already. Now you'll notice that if we scroll down, this is actually displaying all of the blog posts, so it takes a very long time to get to the bottom to look at the footer. So we're not going to do that just yet. But what we will do is we're going to head back over, and we're going to click on footer and say we only want one footer, so not three, as you may have seen there before. And we're not going to look at that, but that essentially puts one box at the bottom of the page. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be adjusting the typography. So if we go to the footer, we don't want to see it as large as we saw it before. We want to see this just at 12 pixels. Okay, we will scroll down. It will take us a while, but I'm going to drag that straight down so we can see what that's done. That's more the size that we're looking for, and as you can see now, we've only got one widget here instead of three that were previously across the bottom. So once that's done, do that and then proceed to the next step. Okay, now we're going to be adjusting the typography for the widgets as well, and we want to make this it can be 12 and the content is going to be 10, quite small. So that will actually change the font size of the heading there and the actual content inside of the footer. So there you go. Footer widget has become smaller and the content in there is set. Great, let's head on back. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the actual sorry, there is one more thing with the typography, looking at the primary navigation. So we want to set this to 500 and the font size is going to be 28 because this will actually be our call to action menu. So once that's done, we click back and we go back to the main menu and start working on our colors. So we have a couple of colors that need to be customized to get our theme looking good. And we're going to go to the primary navigation tab. We're going to select the background color, the first one at the top there, and we're going to get the correct color, which in this case is a yellow. We're going to get it out of our spreadsheet, so we're going to go back to that spreadsheet, and if we scroll across you'll see that we've actually got them listed here. So this is our primary navigation background color and our footer widget background color, and they're both in these columns here. So the first one we're going to get is the primary navigation color. Just going to select that and copy. We're going to go back to here and then simply just paste that in. As you can see, it sets it to a yellow, and that's the color that we want. Now we're going to set all the background colors to that same one, so simply double click on the number there, make sure you don't get the hashtag, paste that in. I'm going to go back down to the bottom background color, paste that in. So now we've got the 3 set, and essentially that completes the background color, but the color of the text is going to be a blue color. Now we have got the little shortcut palette down here, and we are just lucky enough to have that's the right color. And for each of these ones that are currently white, we're just going to select that blue, and that gives us the correct color for our backgrounds. Okay, now at any time when you're working on this, it's a good idea to regularly save and publish, and what that does is just make sure that any of these changes that you're making don't get lost. So we're going to go back to the main color menu here, and what we're going to look at is doing the color of the footer widget. Currently it's selected as white, but we're going to change that. So we double click on the actual code there, we go back to our tab, and we can see in our spreadsheet, we're going to select that and then copy, and then we're going to go back in here, and then we're going to paste that in. Now the next thing we need to do here is just to make sure that all the text and links and widget titles, they're all going to be set to white. So the shortcut for white, 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 and once again white. Okay, so that sets our widget colors. As you can see over here, we're getting a live update there. All our color, everything in the widget now is going to be white, whether it's a link or it's text, and as you can see there's a link there. We roll over it, we want to keep that all white. Okay, so there's just one last color that we need to modify. Now you would think that with the way this works, by importing these things from a previously set up theme, that all this stuff should come in, but for some strange reason it does not. Anyway, we're going to go now to the secondary navigation, and which is found under the color tab there, and we're going to set the background hover color and make sure that that is set to white. Okay, now just bearing in mind that if there are going to be any other color adjustments, that just refer to these columns over here back in the spreadsheet, and they'll line up with this particular section here, customizing generate press theme. So anything that might be different in future websites that are not particular to this one to do with the home security, you'll find those colors in the shortcut quick columns over here, so you can select them and then copy and paste them straight over. So the title will be up here, and you'll know exactly what you should be essentially looking for back in the customize menu. Okay, so now we've completed step 10. I'm going to mark that as done, and in the next video we're going to be moving on to the call to action and main menus setup.